When you think of Christmas, what comes to mind for you? Christmas lights? Christmas tree? Christmas carols? Christmas presents? Snow? If you're not living in the desert. If you grew up in the church, maybe you remember Christmas presentations, dressing up in Christmas colors, or just dressing up in general for Christmas. Over the centuries, Christmas has been a festive holiday, which has been primarily spending time with family and exchanging gifts. And as Christians, we try to bring back the meaning of Christmas by doing all these things that Christians should do, like Christmas presentations or post Christmas-themed passages and messages on social media. But let me ask you this question today. Do these things make us feel closer to Jesus this Christmas season? Do these things make us feel closer to Jesus this Christmas season? When I think about this past year, it's been almost like hitting the reset button in many ways for me. Celebrating Christmas has been something that has been lost for me over the years because I found myself getting caught up in the festivities and also trying to do everything I can do to come back to the true meaning of Christmas. But after years of doing this, it led me to burnout and losing the joy of Christmas. So when I was asked to speak during this Christmas series, it forced me to dig deep and go back to why I celebrate Christmas and how I can celebrate Christmas this season. I'm not trying to, by any means, take away from the messages we've heard so far. For some of us, we may need to go back, be intentional in seeking Jesus more this season and trust that God is leading us. Others may need to be more celebratory, knowing that God gave us an opportunity to have a relationship with Jesus. But if you are like me, though, who has been running on fumes, ending up being used and abused, burned out and hurt, or just simply feeling lost this Christmas, then I want to invite you to take a moment to consider Christ this Christmas. Mary shows us how we can do just that in this verse alone by two actions. She treasures and she ponders. Let me expound on these two words and why they hold so much value during this season. So the first word, treasure. In the Greek language, this word is used in two other passages in the New Testament. Mark 6:20, it says this, "For Herod feared John," this is John the Baptist, "knowing that he was a righteous and holy man, and he kept him safe. When he heard him, he was greatly perplexed, and yet he heard him gladly." The context of this passage is that John the Baptist has openly rebuked King Herod for killing his brother in order to marry his brother's wife. King Herod doesn't know what to do because although he wants to put him to death, he listened to what John had to say with gladness. So he opts to keep him safe, keep him in a safe place where nothing would happen to him. So that's the first use of the word. The second one is in Matthew 9, verse 17. It says this, "Neither is new wine put into old wineskins. If it is, the skins burst and the wine is spilled and the skins are destroyed. But new wine is put into fresh wineskins, and so both are preserved." Turn off the effect. Okay. In this passage, Jesus explains to John's disciples that the way of righteousness isn't by human works alone, but rather by receiving kingdom righteousness that Jesus came to offer. To receive this righteousness, it needs to be received in the new manner of total surrender to the work of Christ and not by old traditions of getting approval by good works. In receiving this kingdom righteousness, both the content and the vessel are preserved. And content is God's righteousness. The vessel is us as the holder of that righteousness, just like the new wine in new wineskins. So with these two uses of the word in mind, it informs us what Mary is doing when she is treasuring. And simply this, she is holding this moment, that moment where she's at with all the shepherds coming in. She's holding that moment as sacred. Okay? Now imagine with me, what are some things you hold as sacred? In Chicago, there is a museum called the Art Institute of Chicago. In the U.S., it is the second largest art museum as it holds 300,000 pieces of art, including this piece. So it's a piece called the A Sunday Afternoon on the Island of La Grande Yatte by Gorgas Surat. If you go to this museum, they will give you some restrictions to list a few, give you some restrictions of things you cannot do. Now, just to list a few, obviously, no food or drinks, no loud music, no bags, no video cameras or photography, flash photography, no gifts, and no art material other than a pencil. Okay? These restrictions are given so that people visiting can enjoy their visit thoroughly, and also so that the integrity of the arts are not compromised in any way. If you take a closer look, there is a picture. So if I had the picture, it's fine. But there is a picture that I wanted to show you, and it's a picture of a couple, and they actually see this painting there. But in front of that picture, there is a rope, and it gives about like 5 to 6 feet of space from that rope. Now, the reason why they have that rope is so that no one can touch the painting, obviously, and so it gives very small chances of it to be compromised or damaged in any way. Another thing about this museum is that there are a lot of benches. Okay? 앉는 자리 많아요. Okay? Throughout the museum. You would think that a huge museum would require benches so that people can rest while walking around and looking at the paintings for that reason alone. But that's not the purpose of the benches. An artist by the name of Paul Klee wrote this in a 1920 credo. It says this: for the understanding of a picture, a chair is needed. Why a chair? To prevent the legs as they tire from interfering with the mind. The mindset is so that all attention is given to the painting when a person spends time observing. So this is how Mary is treating this moment. But why? Let's look at all the different events that have happened up to this point. Now, chapter 1, Luke chapter 1, verse 5 to 25, birth of John the Baptist is foretold. Verse 26 to 38, birth of Jesus is foretold. Verse 39, 45, Mary visits Elizabeth. 46 through 56, Mary praises God for all the events. 57 through 66, John is born. Chapter 2, 1 through 7, Jesus is born. Chapter 2, 8 through 14, angel visits the shepherds. And then today's passage, chapter 2, 25 through 15 through 21, the shepherds visit Jesus. Okay? So many things happened in only a chapter and a half. But all these events begin with the foretelling of these events. Mary holds this moment as sacred because she gets to experience the fruition of these foretellings and is able to see how God's word come to pass. In order for Mary to take in all that is happening, she takes the time to treasure that moment, holding the moment as sacred in all the events leading to this moment. Now, as she is treasuring, as she's holding those moments as sacred, she's also pondering. Okay, the second word. Okay. Now, pondering, the Greek word used for pondering is used 6 times in the Greek, mostly used in the context of Paul, the Apostle Paul, coming together, conversing and consulting with other people, and engaging in discussion. It's interesting, though, because in this passage, Luke chapter 2, verse 19, Mary isn't having a conversation with anyone as she is pondering them in her heart. So what is the author trying to show us in this verse? For Mary to take this moment to ponder shows that she's putting together all the conversations that she's had so far and making sense of them in her own heart. Even though she doesn't see the whole picture, she's taking what she has available to her and treasuring it because she knows she won't have this moment, and or she wants to cherish the whole process, as this is one of those moments in the process. Another moment where Mary treasures a certain moment happens later on in this chapter in verse 51. After both Mary and Joseph frantically search for Jesus, only to find him in Jerusalem, standing in front of other teachers in the temple. One photographer says this about photography. Photography helps people to see. And I think this statement holds very true. I think about the toddlers in our church, the babies in our church. Now, I'm not sure if the parents can see it, but for me, not seeing them, even for a week, they end up changing a lot. And from what I've heard, parents only realize they've grown or changed when they have to start buying bigger clothes or they start fitting into their parents' clothes. But another way parents can see their baby's growth is taking pictures of certain times. Now, if you see this picture, this is an infant's monthly photo after they were born until they reach their first birthday. So very top, 1 month, 2 month, every month a picture is taken. And you can see like how the child grows and change each and every month until they're 1 year old. And for these parents, they took this picture, it's something that they can always remember and just think how time flew by so fast and how their child grew up so fast. This is what Mary does as she ponders. Even though she doesn't know what the future would be like, she knows that at this moment won't ever come back again for her. What I'm saying is that Mary is seizing the moment to pause and consider everything that God has revealed to her up to this point. So for you and me, what does it look for us to treasure and ponder this Christmas? We read of Mary's Christmas moment in today's passage. What is our Christmas moment? Do you find it hard to find time to pause and be still, to treasure and ponder? Because there are so many things going on in us and around us. I'd like to show you a video of a baby and its father. There are no words to this video or any captions, but I really believe it depicts what a lot of people feel like these days, and it also shows God's heart towards us.
Got a pinch of tobacco in my pocket. I'm not gonna roll it, no. I'm not gonna smoke it till we're staring at the stars and the rockets twinkling in the silvery night. 2 sips of whiskey in the flask, but I'm not gonna drink them. I swear I'll make it last till we're drinking out of the same glass again. And though the sand may be washed by the sea, and the old will be lost in the new, well, 4 will not wait for 3, for 3 never waited for 2. And though you will not wait for me, I'll wait for you. Polaroid picture in my wallet. I'm not gonna tear it, no, I'm not gonna spoil it. It's an unspoken heartbreak, a heartbroken handshake I take with me where I go. And 3 words on the tip of my tongue, not to be spoken or sung or whispered to anyone till I scream I'm at the top of my lungs again. And though the sand may be washed by the sea, and the old will be lost in the new, well, 4 will not wait for 3, for 3 never waited for 2. And though you will not wait for me, I'll wait for you. Oh, oh. And oh, 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 I'll wait for you. Oh, oh. And oh, 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 and I'll wait for you. Oh, oh. Got a pinch of tobacco in my pocket. I'm not gonna roll it, no, I'm not gonna smoke it till we're staring at the stars and the rockets twinkling in the silvery night.
For us, treasuring and pondering this Christmas may just be as simple as just going to Jesus with no pretense, no ulterior motives. Just bare naked and nothing to offer but ourselves. Do you hold joy and happiness this season? Bring them to Jesus. Do you carry sadness and hurt? Bring them to Jesus. Are you lost? Do you feel like you can't express what's inside you and you can't share how you really feel? Bring them to Jesus. Because God's Christmas moment is when He treasures you. Let's pray.